Hello everybody. Do you want to get the information about whether somebody has opted out or opted in into your email newsletter from your Mautic into your SuiteCRM? That's exactly what we're going to do today using n8n. So let's go. You might have noticed already that we've got a couple of checkboxes behind our email addresses in SuiteCRM. Opt out, invalid. So invalid would be bounce emails, and opt out is something who, like a lead or a contact who unsubscribed to our newsletter, for instance. But we do not want to manage this manually. We want to integrate our marketing automation and react to the contacts or leads unsubscription directly. So how do we do this? What do we need? We need our CRM system, and you might have noticed already I've got my Mautic here as well with the same contact, same email address. Then I've got the documentation here in case we need it later on, and I've got this workflow prepared, and we're going to build this up. Just a quick overview. We have a Mautic trigger here. Then we'll check for the opt-out and make a decision. And then standard, we go into the CRM system, search for the correct lead, and then we're going to update the submodule email addresses from the lead. We're getting to the details in a little bit. So let's start with it. How do we start? We need to have a trigger, and this will be our Mautic system. So Mautic on new Mautic event, exactly. So I've got Mautic set up, prepared with the API and everything. And now I've got my credentials here, and I have those options here. So there's plenty of stuff that can come from Mautic, and therefore perfect. I want to have the contact updated event. If this triggers, or if this shall be received like an update from Mautic, then I want to trigger this one here. I have to update our webhook URL inside Mautic. That is, I'm going to the settings and then webhooks, and then I configure the contact update. And here you see this is only triggering for the contact update event. That means you can nicely split things up and have separate logics, separate webhooks for the different events here. And now I can update this and see what happens. So let's first, we don't need this one anymore. Let's first start this one here and receive a trigger from Mautic. So the first update that I want to do is basically I want to go to preferences. Of course, you can do this from Preference Center as well as the contact, but now just to demonstrate, I want to do this one here. It triggered. I can skip all the fields and go to the very bottom. And what I'm really interested in is the do not contact object, or like the nested object inside my payload, inside my body here, because there is something inside. And if there's something inside, then we do have an opt-out situation. And now we can do exactly the opposite. I would need to start execute again and listen, and then remove this one here. And now I receive the payload again from the same contact, only this time our do not contact is empty. So, and we can use this knowledge now in order to build up the workflow. And we start with an if, because that's the very, very first thing that we are going to look into. And now we said if this one here is not empty, then we do have an opt-in. So that's a bit of a tricky, negated logic here. So if this is not empty, and then we do have an opt-in, so that means if we're executing this now, we're going into the false branch. We are setting now an opt-in basically, but I don't want to call it opt-in. I want to call it email opt-out, and I want to set this as a number, as a Boolean. And here we have an email opt-out 0 situation. That means, or that, translated into human speech, this person has currently not opted out, and we see this here as well. Perfect. But so I can say this one here, set opt-in, and then I can do exactly the same thing, but set an opt-out So I would rename this to opt out, and here I would do exactly the same, but instead of a 0 I would set a 1. Because remember, if there is something inside our do not contact array, then we should be here inside this branch. So, and now it's possible to continue in multiple different manners. There is a merge node, which is a bit more complicated, but what you could do here is simply to execute this one here. So email, and now I would call this exactly the same thing, or can call it opt out, email opt out. It could be that you have multiple opt outs, and therefore, yeah, like a phone opt out, a letter opt out, a snail mail opt out, and an email opt out. So, and then we're setting this one here, email opt out, and now we have set Mautic final opt out. We call this in a very prescriptive way. So now we connect this one here as well, because it could go either way depending on what's the payload looking like. But that should already be fine. We roughly know what the payload looks like, and we can continue here to integrate further our CRM system. So here, look at my other videos with the SuiteCRM and n8n integration, because these two nodes come from there. These are just fairly simple standard nodes. I first want to get the token, nothing special. And now I want to, let's start here. I remove this one. I want to look into the leads. And again, it's very important that you have your business processes, the organizational view straight first, because you now need to know what happens if you have contacts and leads with the same email address, or what happens if you have duplicates, or what happens, and so on. So first, get your business processes right, independent from any IT, any software, and then afterwards you would be able to develop this, what we're doing here now. So standard GET request towards the lead module will retrieve all leads. I don't want to have all leads. I want to filter, so I can search here for filter, and there is a way of filtering, and I can copy and paste exactly this example and then just massage it a little bit, because it's almost what we need. So leads, and let's open this one here up, and I want to filter by email 1. So there's a specific case, as I mentioned before. The email 1 and email 2 fields are just a feature from SuiteCRM to make it easy to work with those via the API. Internally, they don't exist in the leads module. Internally, it's a 1-to-n relationship from one lead to n email addresses, and you will see this in just a bit. But yeah, here it's just good to know, because it could be if you have like 3 email addresses and the third one should be unsubscribed, then you're out of luck here, and you would need to use a different approach. So email, here's the value of the email. I execute this, and here found filter. What did I do wrong? Filter. Oh yeah. Without spellings, it just works better, I guess. So, and then here we've got only one record, so this is good. Technically, it would be possible to have multiple records. So a split out is reasonable if you have duplicates, and a split out is reasonable in any case, because here, remember, we've got an array of 1, and now we remove the array, we just have this 1 here. So I want to do something similar like this one here. Duplicate this node, would connect it, and now instead of search for SuiteCRM, I would like to retrieve leads email addresses, because that's what we're going to do now. So how does this work? That's a bit special. The get method is correct, but we have to change this one here. I open this again in the pop out here, because I want to see the related details. And as you can see, email addresses. It's a 1-to-n relationship as mentioned, and now I need to use this here, so I can remove V8 and drop this here, and then I've got the whole relationship query or endpoint. As you can see, the lead stays the same, ID stays the same, relationships and emails is new. And then I do this one here, and I do have access denied, and that's because I didn't continue looking at the details here. So of course we have our token already, but now we need to tell it comes from the get SuiteCRM token record. And now you see the first of one email addresses that is related to our lead. And as you can see, type, the module is something different. It's not the lead module anymore. And that's what I meant with a 1-to-n relationship between leads and email addresses. You can't really see this in the CRM. It doesn't have a UI as such, but you can see this in the CRM because you can add multiple email addresses. So what do I want to do now? Basically, now I can copy this one here again. And the only thing that I need to do now is I need to patch this. So first I want to change the method. If I patch something, then I've got the v8 and /module here and nothing else. Then headers is the same. This time I want to send a body. The body is a JSON one. I don't want to use with fields. I want to use a JSON structure. It's an expression because I need to access some variables that I just have retrieved from the data, and then I'll copy the patch example body from the documentation in order to get kickstarted. And now I've got all the details that I have here and earlier basically. So the type, remember, the type is our special module. The ID is not the lead ID, but the record inside our special email address module. And then what do I want to update? As you can see, invalid, so for bounce emails or opt out. I want to have the opt out. And the opt out, I want to add this as well. So here comes the opt out, and we have the value of the opt out somewhere else. We have the value here. So at the moment it's 0. So it was 0, as you can see here. Now it is 0. That means if I execute this now, nothing will change in the CRM system. I save this here. Check the CRM system. Nothing changed. Okay, very good. And now we're doing this one again. So in this case, in this scenario, just for demonstration purposes, I do this one here again. That means I need to start my workflow, start listening to it. And now I want to unsubscribe. I want to opt out. I save this. I opted out. Do not contact is not empty anymore. Let's check this here careful. See, now I'm in the true branch. My do not contact or my opt out is not empty anymore. I've got now a 1 here, and I would continue all the way to here. And now very careful again, this one. And now we do the update. And now I check here inside the CRM system by refreshing the page. And you can see our checkbox is checked now. So we know in the CRM system that this person opted out. Perfect. And this is exactly what we wanted to have. So SuiteCRM, we don't want to manage this one. Mautic should manage this automatically. So if I remove this now, and then now I'm doing it manually, but you know, if you deploy it to production, and then it will go automatically. And now we are opted in again. So the interest or the lead is back with us. Perfect. That's it. So we have seen that we can use Mautic updates to trigger n8n, and from n8n, of course, we can almost operate our whole CRM system and make it easy to integrate everything into multiple applications. Among those is Mautic as well. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Bye.